What's good, everyone? It's JamalHaki, and today we're going to be doing a video on the infamous topic of man versus bear. And we're about to go ahead and just jump straight into it now. I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be a little bit unscripted. It's going to be a little bit off the top of the brain, but guaranteed that I'm going to be covering all the topics that I think that needs to be covered pertaining to this question is being asked to women. And just in case for people who are a little bit under the rock when it comes to this particular question, one of the things that they've been asking the women, at least for what I can understand and from what I've seen for the first time, it was a question that goes like this. So they went up to women, they asked them, they said, if you were lost or trapped in the woods, which one would you be lost or trapped in the woods with, a man or a bear, right? And what was happening was a lot of women were actually choosing the bear, meaning that they will be fine or they were more comfortable being lost or trapped in the woods with a bear.
What?
Just off of that alone, what does that sound like to you? Okay. So one of the things I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to do a good job of kind of arguing both sides, but ultimately I'm going to let you know the purpose of this question, what I believe the purpose of the question is, and what it actually means, depending on the answer that you actually give. And I'm gonna give a little bit of my personal breakdown of my anecdotal experience when it comes to me doing my own research by asking questions to some of my coworkers or peers or people that I may have ran into. So let's start off like this, okay? So for starters, when it comes to the question is really just asking which one would you rather be lost or trapped in the woods with. Now, when it comes to the bear or man, technically, people are asking for context when it comes to the question. However, there really is no context other than the fact that it is a random man and a random bear. A random man and a random bear. And if we really want to be a little bit more specific when it comes to the bear, we're not talking about a koala bear, which a koala bear is not a bear. We're not talking about a polar bear. We're probably primarily going to be referring to a black bear or a brown bear, since these are the more common bears within the United States. Now, if this is a question that's asked of other people that live in other areas where other bears are more common, cool, go with that bear. But for me living in the United States, we can assume this. But continuing forward though, lost or trapped in the woods. So let's start here, right? Why are more people picking the bear and not the man? Let's do a little bit of decoding. So what is happening is people's selection or the women's selection seem to be based off of a fear. Well, you kind of think that people will have more of a fear or a larger fear for the larger creature. Sure, you would think that. That's not the case. What's happening is people have a larger fear for the man. But you would think, are men really fearful? People get into relationships with man. People choose to move in with man. People choose to have one-night stands with man, right? But to the women, the man is this more fearful creature. And I'm using creature on purpose. Why is that per se? Because what's happening is this. It's not necessarily the threat or the danger of death, the threat of death that the women are looking at. What these women are looking at is what this creepy man is then going to do to him, aka looking at the man as a predator, but not looking at the bear as a predator, or you could say a larger predator. So for the man, they're looking at the man as this man is capable of doing something sexual to me. Or in fact, they're saying, no, the man will do something sexual to me. Again, a random man. So the women have the fear that the man will do something. Not necessarily fear that the man could possibly do something, but it's the fear that the man will do something to them. Touch their butt, be creepy to them, since we're on YouTube, grape them or RP them. So it's something that the man is going to do. But you think, wait, So they're not saying the man is going to kill them. They're saying the man is going to do something sexual to them. But then for the bear is most likely going to kill them. It wouldn't do anything sexual to them. So even with looking at those two different scenarios, or looking at those two different things that the women are stating, here's where I'm able to deduce. So for the women, and I've even asked this of women, something sexually happened to them, or them being raped, that is worse than death to them. They put that on a higher level. The moment when that comes into play in terms of that is your reasoning as to why you selected your answer, it's going to be very hard for me to argue with how you feel when it comes to the reason why you chose that you'd rather be in the woods with a bear. It's going to be very hard for me to debate/argue with that. But here's where the argument can kind of come into play. How prevalent or how often or how likely would you be sexually assaulted or, let's say, raped by a random Joe Slow man? Even if we were to bring up statistics based off of the prevalency or how often these things are occurring within the United States or within our society, some of those things are a little bit, let's say, fabricated or a little bit exaggerated. Here's why I say that. You go on certain websites and they look at sexual assault, and some of the listings that they put in sexual assault could be as simple as the guy lied about having a Ferrari when he really drives a Honda Accord. And due to me thinking that he had a fancier, nicer car, I decided to do X, Y, and Z with him. So he lied to me, or due to lying via omission, I feel like I was sexually assaulted, okay? Or let's say, for instance, a man lied about his occupation. The man said he was a dentist, but really he worked into janitorial services. Oh, I wouldn't have slept with him if he really was a janitor. I only slept with him because I thought he was a dentist. So it's like things of that nature, which goes into or factors into some of these statistics when it goes into how often or how prevalent sexual assault happens. Am I saying that it doesn't happen? No. I'm most certainly not saying that it doesn't happen. But if we talk about how often it's happening, now we're having a conversation. Another thing, we hear statistics about like how often things are happening on college campuses, where it says 2 out of every 5 women are being sexually assaulted or being raped or something like that. 2 out of 5 people, that's 40%. If 40% of these things were actually happening on college campuses and majority of enrollment are also women, why would parents feel comfortable allowing their child going to a college campus?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Sometimes when we look at the numbers, we really have to understand, are these actually happening? So I'm not questioning, is the event happening? Sure, it is happening. How often it's happening, we don't know. The third thing we can factor in is that we literally live next to human beings every day, all the time. That is part of our society. That is part of our community. That is part of our culture. So we don't live with bears. Why am I saying this? It's because what's happening is people are bringing up stats and statistics based off of how often bear attacks are happening on a yearly basis. I'm going to be honest with you. They don't happen often. In fact, if you Google it and look at the numbers, you're probably going to see something close to along the lines of 2 to 3 bear attacks, fatal bear attacks at that. And then there's going to be some people that says, well, there's probably more. We just don't know about it because the bear completely ate them.
You think I'm playing?
I'm not here to kind of argue speculations necessarily, but what I am here to say that if you just look at the numbers, it's going to be very tempting or very easy to say, well, I'd rather chill or kick it with that bear or be lost in the woods with the bear because I'm probably not as likely to get attacked. But once again, do we live with bears or next to bears, or do we encounter bears on a daily, weekly, monthly, or even yearly basis? The answer to that will be no. But I guarantee you, if we encountered or if we had as much interaction with bears as we did as humans, you will see a very large difference in the number of fatal attacks. How do I know this? Well, If I was to ask you who's deadlier, a dog or a bear, what would you say? You'd probably say a bear is more deadlier. Okay. If I was to ask you who's more deadlier, a mosquito or a bear, you'll still probably say a bear. But the moment you start to look at the numbers in terms of how many people die from dog attacks a year or mosquitoes or this, that, and the third, you will see some pretty alarming numbers. And dogs are supposed to be man's best friend. So this goes to show that the more encounterings that we have with said thing or said person, the more likely something is to happen. Another thing that I want to include, I'm thoroughly convinced that when people envision a man, especially when this question getting asked, this is the type of man that they're probably thinking of.
There, so your boys like to go on inside.
And almost certainly when people envision the bear, this is the type of bear that they're probably thinking of when this question gets asked.
What could be more important than a little something to eat?
But I'm here to tell you right now, the average man is probably more likely is going to be more along the lines of this.
Oh, actually, this looks pretty good. Yeah.
While the bear in question is probably going to be more along the lines of like this. Now, ask yourself, which one, based off of at least the example that I provided, which one would you rather be lost or trapped in the woods with? That man like there that I just showed? Or literally that bear that was putting them foo-foppers on that person right there?
Shit, Negro, that's all you had to say.
Let's go back to random man, random bear. So again, there's this fear that something may happen to me due to this situation that I may be in. I have a larger, I'm speaking as the woman, I have a larger fear because this man, this predator, this human being, I feel like he's going to do something to me sexually. Once again, this is the mindset of what the woman is doing. Okay, the moment we start factoring in, say, okay, who are the victims of these crimes more often than not? What happens is the moment we start to decode and tell people or let people know that most victims of crimes happen to be by other individuals that they know, meaning that when person A is doing something bad to person B, person A and person B know each other more often than not. There's a large percentage of these crimes where the people that's involved within it, they know each other. It's less likely where it's a stranger, where I don't know this person, they don't know me, and boom, there's a criminal act or a violent act that happened. That is minority of crimes. Now, we're about to go ahead and get into breaking down the logic of this, okay? So, one of the things that I did was, I heard the question, so I went to test it out for myself. I wanted to really see what were these answers that people were selecting, and I wanted to mostly know why did they select their answer choices. So from what I can surmise, I believe more often than not, the women that I asked said bear instead of man. And I'm gonna kind of break it down in terms of demographic as well, because I find this thing interesting. I know sometimes we shouldn't focus on this, but here's the kicker. All right, let's start right here. So for the people that said bear, more often than not, they tend to have been younger women of the newer generation. For the ones that said man, they happen to be older women. We could say either my current generation, millennials and up, or even if we want to go Gen X or even baby boomers. Those were the ones that said they'll rather be trapped or lost in the woods with men. Now, going back to me asking or trying to understand why someone said bear, I heard answers such as, well, I just feel like the bear may not do anything to me. Some people even said, well, I'll climb a tree. And then other people even said, I think I can outrun a bear. The moment I told them, well, we probably should watch this video of this bear climbing the tree right here.
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
They immediately changed their answer. And then I even told them, you outrun a bear. Well, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but bears run about upwards of 40 miles per hour. yeah, you're not outrunning that bear.
No, you ain't.
So the other thing that I found to be interesting, it was the assumption when the question was asked, a random man ran a bear. Keep in mind, random man ran a bear. When I asked the question, there was an immediate assumption that the man was of someone creepy. And other people would try to ask, well, what kind of man is it? They did not ask, more often than not, what kind of bear is it? But they definitely asked, what kind of man is it? If someone asked me this question, I'll be more concerned with what kind of bear it is versus what kind of man or what kind of woman I'm dealing with. Because I'm going to be more concerned with which one is the larger threat in this situation. But I get it, Jamal, I get it. You gotta understand from the woman's perspective, the fear or the threat of something sexually happened to them is worse than that of death.
Why?
I get it. Like I said, it's gonna be very hard for me to argue with that point. But the point where I can argue is it likely for something sexually happening to you when you're in the woods with a random man?
Nope.
A random man. No. I'm going to comfortably and confidently say no. And even if you still disagree with me by saying yes, that goes into what I believe the question is trying to suss out, what I believe the question is doing, or what I believe that we as human beings are learning based off the answers that we are receiving from the women that's answering this, all right? So going more into it, right? So we can't outclimb a bear. We can't outswim a bear. We can't outrun a bear. The bear is going to be anywhere between 500 to thousands of pounds. On average, even a black bear is going to be 500 plus pounds, right? So these bears are pretty big. What makes you think that bear's just gonna look at you and be a docile creature? This is a wild creature. This bear is going to rip you up and tear your flesh off your skin, off your body.
Meg.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. People really think, based off what I asked, they think they can logically reason with the bear, but they wouldn't be able to logically and reason with the man. A man that can speak English.
Stop it. Get some help.
English, words, speak, human, complex consciousness. No, that doesn't even cross the brain at any kind of moment. It's, nah, I think I'll be safer with the bear. Here's what I heard. I don't want to necessarily still. I heard this. This is not original. I heard somebody twist it up. They said, let me really test the mindset of some of these women. I said, well, they said, what if there's a 10 by 10 room then? Okay, 10 by 10 room. What if you was in a 10 by 10 room? Would you rather be trapped with a man or a bear? Guess what their answers changed to? They said, well, if it's a 10 by 10 room, well, probably the man. Why does it matter whether it's a 10 by 10 room versus the woods? Because even in the woods, you're assuming the man is close enough to you to touch you. And in the 10 by 10 room, well, the man is obviously close enough to touch you. But the bear, same thing. If the man is close enough to touch you in the woods, so is the bear close enough to touch you in the woods. So why does it matter the location, whether or not the bear is in the woods or the bear is in a 10 by 10 room?
Ha ha, joke's on you, high five.
Do you think you have more space to run? Because most certainly, you're not going to, once again, outrun a bear. You're not going to out-hide the bear, and you're not going to out-climb the bear. So why does it matter the difference in the location? Let's say they still chose the bear. This is what I heard as well that literally kills a lot of people's arguments. They say, okay, imagine yourself already being in the woods trapped. You're in a situation where the bear is right next to you, and you've seen a man crossing your path. Would you call out for help?
Of course, of course.
Guess what ends up happening for the women that chose the bear? They actually said they would call out for help and ask the man for help. So question, if you're already of the assumption or assuming that you think the man is going to do something to you sexually, or you think the man is creepy, or you think the man is this, that, and the third, why would you call out for help if the man is crossing your path? Silence, crickets, they don't know. So once again, this tells me that the woman's emotion is guiding her answer choice versus the logic and reasoning or rationale based off of the presenting situation is guiding her answer choice. This is alarming. I'm not saying we shouldn't use our emotions or feelings. Sure, if you want to think about which one you want to pick, cool, that's fine. But to say that you would rather put yourself in a situation that you know you cannot reason with or escape versus, at least with the man, it's an escapable situation. Even in a situation where you say, well, this man is stronger than me, so I'm gonna pick the bear. What do you think the bear is? That bear is stronger than that man. So that bear is gonna do worse to you than that man. But I digress. Let's go ahead and put a bow on this really quickly. What do I think the purpose of this question? Why do I think this question is a thing? Why are people... Here's what I think I've learned from this question. And even some of the answer choices I heard. For me, I think it highlights the perception of us men and what we represent within this world. We're essentially supposed to be looked at as leaders, courageous, strong leaders. We're supposed to be looked at as provisioners, protectors, and things of this nature, right? However, due to circumstances that may have occurred within someone's past, right, the conditioning of the mind has led them to believe that no, these men are not protectors. They're not provisioners. They're not providers. They're not any of those things. That's not a means of safety. That's not a means of leadership. I'm in fear of this man. I think this man is just as much as a predator as that bear. I heard what happened. I heard what they do. This is something that happened to me, or this is something that happened to my friend. I've seen what this person did on the internet, or heard about this person on the internet, or I've seen certain statistics floating around. I don't feel safe around men. But the same individuals that tell you or try to convince you that they don't feel safe around men, they end up putting themselves in a situation where they're around men or around people that they claim that they don't feel safe around. So why would you agree to have a one-night stand with someone? Why would you agree to go on a date with someone? Why would you agree to meet someone at their apartment or at their home? I don't know. That's kind of... Wouldn't that be the same situation that you essentially should be in fear of? But for that moment, you wasn't in fear of, because the emotion or how you felt at that moment or about that person literally broke down or tore down all those things. You put yourself in a vulnerable state because you allowed yourself to do that, because how you felt about that individual. But if it's someone that you don't like, or you have this imagination, or you think this is a person that you may not like, those walls go back up. And now this person is back to being a what? A predator. This is what I think is highlighting the misandry, the prejudice, how the perception of how we as men may be viewed within society, right? And if that's truly the case within the question, that means that we as individuals need to do some growing and learning. Maybe we need to come together and have this conversation quite often. We need to kind of break down and discover, why do we think the way that we think? Oh, it's because of my feelings and my emotions is guiding my decision making, and not my logic and rationale or critical thinking. The moment we're able to do this, this is where we as individuals can become better people for our society, for our relationships, for our friends, for our family, for people whoever we end up communicating with. But until we start doing that, just like this question, we are as doomed as the people that ended up selecting the bear that they would rather be trapped in the woods with.
Oh my goodness!
That's it for the video, y'all. If you liked everything that you heard, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I plan on doing more videos like this where I'm just giving my perspective, give you a little bit of that RP-ness, Go ahead and give you those facts, that logic, that rationale. And we plan on doing that some more. Go ahead and hit the Discord channel as well. Join the community. We're trying to build a community right now at the moment. And until then, like I said, I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. It's your boy JamalHaki. Peace out.
I put a 9 on my back like I'm Gilbert Arenas, and I gotta eat in the tub. Need me $1 million away that I walk in these beats, and it's only to keep it a buck. I'm breaking records and saying the standard for niggas whenever I creep out the cut. I heard some niggas was